platform to be something that makes our lives better and that makes us able to focus on the things that matter. You'll hear me say it over and over again, but you've got to repeat things to make sure that it gets done. We focus in on that core. So I pass it to you all. If there's questions that you had, ideas that you had, take it from there, and then I can show off aspects of the platform. I can share my screen. Over to you folks.
Well, one thing real quick before, it was brought up this morning, wanting to know if we're going to use ThinWorks as our first method of match communication. They wanted to know if, because as the coach on a game day, a lot of times you're not sitting at a computer, you're up. They wanted to know if there was a mobile app, and then with the mobile app, they could receive notifications of like match information from another coach.
Yeah. So great question. I'll break it into 3 categories. So it is mobilely accessible. The whole app is built to work on mobile. We are planning to port it over to the major app stores so that it is part of the plan, but it is still fully functional on mobile. The nice part of having the app is exactly as you said, is we can send notifications through the app, which is a little less intrusive and annoying than sending you text messages or emails or things like that. I don't know what our timeline is on that. I don't know if it'll be ready for the fall or the winter, but I'll keep you up to speed on that. But yeah, you can definitely use it on your phones and carry it around with you. How do I put this? The objective of the app is to be sort of your companion in your after school time. So, school gets out at 3:15, 3:30, whenever it gets out for you. You launch the app on your phone or on your desktop. The app, you're going to your stations and your computers, and then you're watching. That's why the inbox is so important. And I'll share my screen so that you guys can look at something prettier than me. But that's why this inbox is so important, and why hey, you have an announcement, hey, you have a flagged message. That's going to be the area that you're just going to want to have available, because that's going to alert you, hey, if there's an issue with the match, whatever, as you're getting everyone into lobbies and things like that. One of the things, and we were just talking about this, but one of the things is those anonymous users accounts that we talked about, this create a student account, this doesn't take any student data, right? So they're creating a username, you're creating a username, the password, so there is a little bit of extra help there too. So I point that out to say, hey, how do we make sure your students are getting into matches and that you're helping facilitate that process? Because that's really the only hard part. There is one other thing that's coming as well. I need to get you guys a couple of matches created. But you'll have a sort of here, post the lobby code. So the host team is going to be able to post the lobby code to the platform so that people know how to join. So they'll either post a username to join on, or a lobby code or something like that, so that people can find each other. So then you don't even have to necessarily use the match chat at all to get into the match with the other players. So things like that are coming too in terms of announcements and the mobile companion and all that stuff. So that was a long-winded, I'll shut up.
Does anybody have any questions or information that they're looking for? I know yesterday he showed a little bit more. I think this is a different group, Caleb, so the coaching hours that were and you maybe even show a little bit more of the I think you had one where you had it may have been on the app test one, but it was where you can see the different stages, so you had your regular season with matches and entering scores and stuff. But then you had a different stage level showing a playoff bracket. Maybe show some of that too. Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with the season stuff so that you folks can see what this looks like. So when you come into a season, you can see over here that there are different stages. So this can be preseason, season, playoff, state, that type of stuff. So I can come in here, I can see my groups. So I can see, hey, there is one group, so we can have, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, or north, south, east, west, that type of stuff. You can see your weeks here. So week 1, we can see, again, this is all test data. So we can see, okay, in week 1, these teams forfeited, this team had a bye, this team did their match, this was the scores of those matches.
Now we can see their score, their game differential, their standing points. So Mike, this is that -10 for the double, the no-show forfeit, that kind of stuff. But then we can also see, hey, here's what it looks like with 3 groups. So you can go from a preseason that has no groups where everyone's playing to each other to your East, West, South divisions. And these can be named. You can see who you're against, what their teams are. When I click it, it takes me to their teams. I can see their players if they have players, that kind of stuff. And then I can also see brackets, right? So for state or for other events, I can see brackets, what the scores were, who won, who the champion was. So you can manage your state tournaments on here. All that data can be preserved. So that's a little bit about it. You can see the season information up here. And then we can even click into matches. So this takes us into a match page, and I can see, here's the roster, here's who's checked in, here's the captain. I submit my scores here. I can see who the coach of the other team is, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And then,
so, a little bit more deep.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was just say, yeah, and then maybe even the coaching hours, since this is a different group.
Yeah. So, I'm going to need to show you 2 accounts, but I'll start here. So on our end, this is our coaching dashboard. So we bring on those varsity level coaches, folks that can support your program, right? Their job isn't to be the head coach, that's your folks' job. Their job is to support you, right? A track coach might not be able to give the best advice for pole vaulting or for hurdle or for shot put or for any of the activities, right? And so when we look at track teams, we'll see that there's usually a distance coach and a throwing coach, and you can break it down. Speech and debate, you might have 2 coaches or 3 coaches, and they split up the events that students can partake in. So similarly, if you don't have Rocket League expertise, you can bring on one of our coaches, set up sessions that work with you during the season, and book them out so that you can have that Rocket League training. And that Rocket League coach, what a lot of our schools do is it's that weekly tune-up. So, maybe game day's on Friday. So on Mondays, the coach will say, hey, super excited, let's talk about what we, have been working on over the last week. You lost that match against, Tulsa. Let's review some of the tape on that, because that one was recorded. Let's talk about our pick band phase. The things that many of you are doing as coaches, but if you don't have that strength, and you don't have that area of expertise in one of those titles, that's where you can bring on that coach. So here we have a full-on calendar, so you'll be able to see the different coaches we have per title. So we might have 1 Rocket League coach, we might have 5 Rocket League coaches that you can pick from. And then you'll book sessions with those folks, so then you can book it into your calendar. So when you see your calendar, you'll see, hey, okay, on Wednesday the 1st, in July here, I have Sarah and Luke. I've got 2 different sessions with them. So Sarah is doing my 2KXO coaching from 12:45 to 1:45, and Luke is doing my Rocket League coaching from 1:45 to 2:45. And then you as coaches attend those sessions so that you can get the content as well. You can have an assistant coach attend, a community member, but we want to give you some of that human capital, make you stronger and make your program stronger, so that you can provide more support. 8, 9 coaching sessions might not make you, the best Fortnite coach you've ever seen, but it helps you feel more confident as you're talking with your players. Your players, on the other hand, can absolutely absorb that knowledge throughout the season. Again, it's a really great way to give back to OKSE as well, because we do the rev share, so that can help offset costs. And we also are able to hire coaches. Our goal is to get enough coaching hours in Oklahoma where we actually hire your college players to do the coaching. So then we can hire folks at your local colleges or semi-pro leagues or whatever, and then we've got a Rocket League coach. We background check these people, all that stuff. So that's a little bit about what this looks like. It's super easy to do. So I'll log in real quick to an account. I think this is the one I want. Nope. We have so many accounts. Try that one. So one more. Maybe it's this one. No. Well, while I figure that out, does anyone else have other questions on all of that? That was a lot already.
Yeah, over here. I've gone into the schools menu and I see our high school, but I don't see our middle school. What do you recommend the best way to, should we combine, see just Blackwell? Should we see middle school? What's the best?
Yeah. So my recommendation is contact OKSE. Mike, we'll get like a group chat going or things like that, so we'll figure out a way to do that. Let them know how you would prefer to see it. If you don't know, if you're managing the high school and the middle school, you probably do want them combined rather than having two separate accounts. I feel like that would make your life a lot easier. So you just let us know and then we can go back and combine those. I think we're already doing that for one school, so we're going to get a few of those requests. Getting to it early is great. So then you'll be able to separate your teams and your students, but then still manage both of those programs. Did I answer that question okay?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think a lot of the schools coaches that are doing both, they don't want to have to log out and do a different account. They want them to where they can just set up their both teams on the same deal.
Yes. Yeah, so then what we'll do is make sure that you're under the right org, and then for the org, it'll have two schools underneath it. So that'll just we basically use a big list off of the state's website to produce all of the schools and all of the orgs in the state of Oklahoma. So there are some schools that might not have schools created because the list might not capture everybody. So then that's sort of that fall cleanup process to make sure everyone's ready. So yes, message Mike and the OKSE team. They'll get it to us at this time, and then Mike, I'll develop a more, clean way to maybe get that done, but that helps us.
Okay.
I've got a coach's account on the screen. I've got a coach's account up on the screen, so you can buy your hours through here. You can book sessions through here. This goes through a portal. You can see how many hours you have per school. And then you can see your booking calendar down here as well, and then you go to see your list of coaches that you can basically book out. So yeah.
Is that turned on for Oklahoma yet, or is that still like just being finalized?
It's being finalized. It should be ready for you guys in August.
Okay.
Early August. So.
Anybody else have any
other questions? And if we get done early, there's nothing wrong with that, so.
On a tech level, is there any like RESTful API to look into this with, or,
Yeah, share with me a little bit more. I'm the lesser tech member.
Oh, sure. So
stuff.
imagine, so we have our school website is through Apogee. I'm imagining some sort of banner where it says, what's the next esports game? And they're like a widget that I could just hook into with some sort of RESTful API, like a URL with like some post stuff, with a question mark at the end.
Yeah.
Anything like that, or?
Yes. So we're doing two things, two ways to answer that question. So we have a fan page that you can see Oklahoma stuff happening.
Okay.
We'll be able to share that with OKSE that we're working through. We're also going to do, just like you were saying with like web, like being able to share with your school website and stuff. We're working on a big social media type patch where we can schedule posts directly through the app for things like Facebook or things like that, your school Twitch and YouTube. But also for things like the website, so you can create a ticker or a feed or things like that. So that stuff is definitely coming because if you can manage everything from one spot, it's going to make your life easier. We want that kind of stuff. And then, it'd be APIs or embed links or those types of things. So yeah, it's coming.
Excellent. Other than that, the only thing in my mind, Google SSO, I would love that. The moment you get that, let me know.
Yeah, there's a lot that want that, including me.
Nice. Yeah, if we can have that so that, when you're going through your platforms or portals, you're using your single sign, I mean, that can make your lives a lot easier. I think there's like 3 to 5 major providers in that space across EduTech and education and K-12. And then the biggest thing is we just want to make sure that they're protecting your data and we're protecting their data. But yeah, that sounds great. Bless you. Yeah. Does it seem straightforward? Maybe so. I'll ask you folks some questions. Does it seem like, from the demo and what you've been able to see being on the app, does it seem like, okay, you can find where you need to go and what you need to do?
I see this thing where I can add my usernames, like by Riot, Discord, things like that. If I put my Discord on here, who all can see that? Other coaches, and then if kids might have been here, can they see my Discord?
Yeah, good question. At this time, the answer is probably yes. By the time your guys' season is going, the answer will be no, because we're going to turn off that Discord stuff for OKSE.
Okay.
Now, students shouldn't be able to see GM information, but I want to make sure of all of that ahead of the season, just because all of that ADA compliance that we did to make the platform more accessible, it impacted a lot of code, so I want to make sure all that is still good. Yeah, great question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think coaches being able to see Discord could be beneficial, but for the students to not be able to see any of that.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then the other thing that we want is, if you're an activities director or a head football coach, you're in a list serve with all of the other head football coaches. You'll have their phone numbers, you'll have their emails, you'll have the way to contact them through the portals and things like that. So we're going to want to have that kind of functionality for you folks where it's like, hey, the head coach over here, I'm just going to keep picking on Tulsa, but they're not in the game. Like, I'm going to give this guy a call. I've got the cell number here. That is a very standard practice for sports and for coaching. But we want to make sure that data is safe and protected, and that you're not getting spammed or sold marketing materials or any of that stuff. So we want to find a way where your coaches can connect and stay connected. And yes, the chat features are going to be good for that, but if you're not checking the app, but you get a phone call, from a local-ish number, you're going to pick that up and you're going to go, oh, I'm sorry, I did forget to get into that Mario Kart match. Let's go set that up right now. Sorry,
Cool. The only other thing on my mind, I'm looking through my dashboard on my chats, and it says there's a match chat section. Will match chats persist after the match is concluded?
Yes, but it will shut off, right? So once the match is concluded, there'll be a window of time, and then the match will close, and you won't be able to use that match chat anymore.
Okay.
But then it's preserved for a period of time so that if there's any issues, you can report it, and then the match chat gets deleted to save on space and cost.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, great questions. Are you a tech director? You seem like a tech director.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can tell.
Thanks.
It's a great thing, though. I would say 30% of esports coaches are tech directors.
Yep. I'm one too.
See? I can tell with you as well, so. Yeah.
Alright, so what do you think? Can you log in? Does that work?
Yeah.
Everybody else good?
Cool. I guess I'll finish on this, and there'll be more opportunities. The OKSE team has been handling it really well. It seems like they've gotten integrated. We're going to continue to get feedback. We do surveys as well, so we can work with OKSE to get a survey out to you folks after your first season. Because this is a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? I mean, that's why OKSE did the due diligence, looked around the space, tried to find a platform that was actually sustainable. Because I'm thinking about esports in 2030, not just in 2026. So, when we look at those surveys and we start aggregating what educators want to see, we could do more streaming stuff or webhooks or the single sign-on stuff. And so we're going to aggregate all that feedback and say, okay, we're going to make a push for this single sign-on. And because that was the highest priority, 30 OKSE educators asked for that, 20 out of Iowa, 15 out of Minnesota, So your survey results, when we send that kind of stuff out and when we see that stuff, I know the OKSE folks take stuff seriously. We take that stuff seriously because, I only know my little zone of the world. So for me, surveys are just critical. These conversations are critical. So yeah.
I got a question I just thought of.
Yeah.
How easy is it to delete a team? Like, let's say I've got my middle schoolers that are like, yeah, we want to do rivals. And they get their little rival team together and like a day before competition, like, nah, Timmy doesn't want to do it no more. Just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yep. So not only can you delete a team here or edit a team, right? So I can edit the name, I can click into the team, I can register the team for a season. But then when I go to my seasons, it is super easy. I just got to find a season that's actually set up right. So maybe this one. I think it has to be a non-complete season. But I can remove teams. This season's closed, so I can't do it for this season. But you can remove teams. Let's see, another closed season. But anyway, you're able to, this button here, when you're in the right season type, won't be grayed out. You'll be able to click remove teams from the season. And so we let the league, that'll be a league setting eventually where the league decides, hey, your team is in, I can drop that team so it's not throwing forfeits. And that's really critical as we clamp down on forfeit rates, is removing those teams before they become an issue. So yeah, it's a super easy process. You can do it from here. You can delete your teams from here as well, and you can remove players as well. And we call it ARC, but it still removes the team.
So from an admin point, I know we've been telling everybody after 3 no-show forfeits, we're taking you out so you're no longer being scheduled.
Yep.
I have the ability to remove teams, other teams too?
Yes.
Okay.
And you have something called benching. So you can bench a team rather than fully removing them from the season. If a team is benched, they don't get thrown through the algo anymore. And so this lets you do one of 2 things. So you can remove a team completely from the season. You can bump a team and move them to JV over varsity. And you can bench a team which says, hey, they're not going to play this week, so we're not going to populate them a match. They're going to get, it's going to hurt their standings, but maybe they're only missing 1 week due to eligibility issues. We can get them back on board for the next week.
Okay.
And then one more question on deletion of teams.
Yeah.
Like, let's say, okay, they did get the team, we're about halfway through the season, but they can't stay eligible, and they've been benched like twice, and I know that we're just not recovering. Can I just flat out delete it and it's not a problem for anybody?
Yeah. The way that works is it's technically called archiving because we still save some of that data for the season scores and things like that. But yeah, you can delete that stuff mid-season because we know what's going to happen. We know teams are going to drop, and that's a big piece for why in our league we talk about substitutes. We're a big preacher of substitutes. Can you get 5 people on a 3-person Rocket League team? I know everyone wants to play and cycle through, but if we're all committed to decreasing forfeit rates, what does the sport look like, and how do we get there? In basketball, not everyone gets to play starter, but that doesn't mean that people don't get to play, right? So philosophically, though, that's left at the league level, but we've become a big preacher of substitutes on teams for that exact reason, especially big teams, 5 and 6 person teams. We've become a huge preacher of substitutes. Yeah, and also why we like our queue system. So there's a full-on queue system where you get matched against the team. If you don't queue up, you don't get a match, you don't cause any forfeits. So that can be really helpful. If you have a team that has eligibility issues, if we can, grow the sport and, they can do some of that queue-based stuff, it still gives you an opportunity to compete. And those students an opportunity to compete. But we still hold them accountability to eligibility, which is why we're all here, is making students better young people and better students. So, yeah. Okay, any last questions? Easy peasy. Mike, I'm around for the rest of the day too, if you need us. So you guys can always shoot me a Discord message, Teams me, and then as folks are getting back on into the fall season, we'll be around and supporting, so.
Yeah. I know there'll be more, like we need to get all the games, seasons, added.
Yes.
So, and then, because I had one coach mention today, or I got the message during the middle of the night or whatever, I put it in our group chat, just that he can't, when he was trying to join Rocket League, there's 2 different ones, so.
Yeah.
I think that was because in our OSSA season, we had 2 different Rocket League.
Yes.
But, how do they know which one to join on that?
Yeah, we're putting out a patch here.
Okay.
We just talked about it yesterday at our software meeting. It might be ready by next Thursday, but I'll talk to Dakota. Basically, we're going to simplify that entire game creation engine on the back end that they don't see, but you and I do see, so that you can create things and label things really clearly. So it can be OKSE 3v3 Rocket League, and you'll know that that's the one that you click join on. So we're doing a whole cleanup on that stuff. When it was just Fedworks doing it, we didn't need some of these admin clarity things because it was like, well, we're doing it. Now OKSE and Nebraska and all these other folks are doing stuff. So Now we're building in that admin stuff. We made admin stuff the lowest priority, and we put user, coaches, and students as the front end of the priority, which was obviously the right call. But now we need that stuff. So
if you go over to seasons there and look at all seasons.
Yep.
So like we're gonna have the same game for like the Bison. So those category names, if those category names to be in that, then we would know, okay, I'm joining the Bison Large School or Rocket League, not the Scissortail Rocket League.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because that solves that question that we got yesterday, right? Because
that's what we need. Yeah.
Yep. That's perfect. Cool.
I guess that's it.
Wait. One last thing on my end.
No, go ahead.
Let's suppose some kid looks at my coach's screen, gets the URL, he tries to make an account on his own. Will he have to be approved before he can be opt in? Like, okay, we've gatekeeping. Okay, good.
Yep. Now let's see. How does that one? There we go. Okay, so yes, but this is too. So when you get this stuff, this is part of the gate. This is part of the gatekeeping. So this code link, which obviously is gobbledygook, right, and it just keeps going and keeps going. So you're safe from that perspective. But yes, if you send like the upload a CSV or enter an email, they then can join and create their account, right? So just know that like these things, they can finish the process on their own. This one, they're joining in the league. You will see them join underneath you at your school.
Okay.
So you will see them and their accounts and all that stuff. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome stuff. Well, if you need me, DM me. I'll be around. Otherwise, I hope you folks have a great weekend, a great conclusion to your coaching clinic, and I'm wishing you all the best.
All right, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, folks.
See ya.